Creating abstract art can be a little intimidating for some people, especially if you are new to creating art. And in this tutorial, I want to show you a really easy way to make a start, because that's the key, isn't it? Just picking up your pencil or picking up your paintbrush and just going for it. So that's what we're going to do in this week's tutorial in Friday Art. My name is Kate Field. I'm an artist, teacher and speaker, and I am passionate about encouraging and inspiring people to do that. Pick up the pencil, open the sketchbook, just get going. Now, whether you are a complete beginner or whether you have done quite a lot of art in the past, perhaps you've put it off for a while because stuff gets in the way, doesn't it? This is the whole point, I think, of this little channel. And thank you so much for wonderful comments. I'm a little overwhelmed by the comments, actually, because what a lovely bunch of people you are. And the Facebook group. My goodness, what a lovely, friendly, supportive group that is. So if you haven't joined the Facebook group yet and you think you might like to, the link's in description. Let's get going with this lovely space that we have here for you to dedicate a bit of time for yourself to create a very exciting piece of abstract art. Let's go. When we're trying out some ideas for creating a piece of abstract art, you don't want to be worrying about cost and using all of your really expensive things. So in this tutorial, I'm going to be using poster paint. This is ready mix paint. This cost me £1. You will find your equivalent wherever you are. Just really cheap paint. Just an ordinary pencil and then some children's wax crayons, just colouring crayons, and I might use some colouring pencils as well. But again, I'm not going to be using my really expensive ones. I'm just going to use really cheap ones. You're going to need a piece of black paper or a bit of card, some scissors and some contrasting paper. I thought we'd go for neon, but you go for whatever you want. It's up to you. So we're going to start by getting this idea of negative space. Now I'm in my sketchbook. I did a colour wash on this page because I thought it would be quite a good way to show you what I mean by negative space. I've started off with a piece of black card, and what I've done is I've cut out shapes. The first shape I cut out was this one in the middle. So I'm going to take that shape out and I'm going to just place it somewhere on the page. I might move that around. We're going to see where we go with it. I then cut out this one in the corner and I'm going to place that one there. I then cut out that one and I'm going to place that one there. Then this one I'm going to put there, and this little skinny one there, and then this one here. Now already we have got quite an interesting composition, and this is our starting point. So what I'm going to encourage you to do is to take your piece of card and to start to cut out some shapes. I'm going to do this as well. I'm going to cut out something different. I'm going to place it on this side. But what I really want you to do, and what I want to encourage you to do, is not to think about it too much. So I'm moving across to this one. I'm going to keep to straight lines at the moment. I'm not measuring anything. So that's my first one. Now, with the negative space, there are various things I could do. So I could take this and just move it down a little bit. And already that is becoming quite interesting. Or I could just flip it over. So we have that positive and negative space. What is really important when you're doing this exercise is to make sure you hang on to your bits, as it were. So, because they are the positive and negative pieces that we want to use. And all we're doing in this first bit is just playing around with some ideas. So I'm getting that one there as well. Yeah, I'm quite liking that. Going to leave those two there. I'm going to do a triangle. Now you could measure these if you want to make your triangle perfect. But again, as I encourage all of my students, you need to play first. So I'm quite liking that. But I could do it that way as well. That could be quite interesting. Let's just move that. We're just putting together some ideas. So you're going to cut out various different shapes. If you've got a hole punch, one of those that cuts out shapes, you could use that as well. But I really wanted to keep this minimal equipment. Right, because I want to put that one there, I'm going to move all of this down. I'm playing with the composition of what I think works, what is interesting, what maybe is not interesting, but there's so many variations, as you can see. And what we're going to do is to use these as a starting point to create a series of experimental pieces which we will then develop. So I've put together two designs that I quite like as a starting point, and then what I've done is I've used the black card as a stencil, and I've drawn round all of the shapes just with a pencil. I'm going to gather all of these together and I'm going to keep them safe, perhaps with a little paper clip so that I don't lose the bits, because I'm going to be using those later. And the same with this one. So I've just drawn around the shapes. I'm going to keep all of those together, keep them safe like that. And then I'm going to start to use my crayon to just block out some of the shapes. I'm just using the crayon because I just want this to be quick. It's not going to be anything fancy, because we are playing with an idea. Now I quite like the effect of a wax crayon, and this is just a child's crayon, very inexpensive, but the texture that you get when you put crayon on top of watercolour background, which is what this is quite interesting. And it's going to change with the type of paper that you have as well. And in a previous tutorial, I showed you how you could use wax crayons, just children's crayons, with a stencil. So if you haven't checked that one out, you could have a look at that. But not right now. You've got to do this one first. Let me know in the comments how you're getting on. I absolutely love reading your comments. They are just wonderful and really uplifting. And thank you so much for taking the time to do that. It makes a huge difference. This is a relatively new channel, and I have been a little bit overwhelmed by how wonderful everyone is. it's really lovely. And let me know what your weather's doing, because we have finally got summer here in England. The sun is shining and it's beautiful. Let me just do that there. So you can see what's happening here. I'm sort of beginning to develop this this idea, which I'm quite liking. Quite liking what is going on. Oh, missed that bit there. And this could be an interesting starting point. And I'm going to do similar thing over this side. I'm going to use a different colour just to see what that might look like. Again, just an ordinary crayon, not taking too much time over this, because we're just playing, as I say, all the time. And I am, as always, inspired by the children and young people that I teach. And last week I taught my 5 and 6 year olds. Oh my goodness. They are so funny and so lovely, and they, they don't care what other people think. They just dive straight in with the colour. I kind of get them going and then off they go by themselves. It's just lovely. And they really experience that joy, the absolute joy of putting paint onto paper, which I love. So here we have these two as my starting points. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to use my same shapes. So that's that one, and then this one is that one, on to another page, and I'm going to do it in a different way. So this time I've got my neon. You can just get some contrasting paper, or you can do another colour wash in your sketchbook. But this is the same shape that I had last time, but I'm going to sort of move it around in a different way to just see what happens and to see the things that I like. And I'm going to do the similar sort of thing that I did before. Just put that one there, and then I will start moving things around. So sort of like that. Let's just put that there, which I do actually quite like. So one of the things you could do is you could just take a little snap of that composition, and then you can come back to it if you want to. I'm going to start to go a little bit quirky, like this. So I'm just taking these at a different angle and seeing how that works. I do quite like that as a composition as well, but I'm also thinking, what would happen if I stuck that one in the middle? How might that work? And this is one of the things that I just love. I want to encourage you to say, what if? Because this is your sketchbook, so no one else is going to see it except you, unless you choose other people to see it. So you can just play with ideas, and you might think, actually, I want to take out another shape, and that's fine as well. But you're starting off with just that black piece of card. Let me just adjust these a little bit more, and then we'll go on to the next bit. So what I've done, when I've decided which composition I liked, I'm just sticking these pieces down. So I'm not going to use these ones as a stencil again. I'm just going to stick them down just with ordinary glue, any glue really. Put that like that. And then I'm just going to, let's grab my ruler here. I'm just going to trim that up a little bit. You can use scissors if you want to, obviously. I'm just going to put that one there. Again, this is an idea. Now, it could be that I change it round and turn it round, and yeah, I actually quite like that. That is coming along. Things are happening. So I've got my other shape, and I'm going to do something similar in that I'm going to just create a composition, and I'm going to do it slightly more randomly, I think, just thinking about the shapes that I have and mixing them up a little bit. Oh, so if you watched my tutorial when I was talking about Etel Adnan and Vasily Kandinsky, which was in Doodle Club, then some of this will be familiar. Now, I actually I like this composition here, so I'm going to draw around those shapes and then I'm going to do something else with them. So I've drawn around all of the shapes, so I'm just going to move those over there. So this is my, oh, there's one that's, no, that's fine. It's all good. And what I'm going to do now, I'm going to use just my crayon and I'm just going to go around the edges. You could use a ruler if you want to, or you could just do freehand like me. For those of you who are a little bit of a perfectionist, I really want to encourage you to just kind of let go a little bit, because there's always going to be mistakes. Creative people have to make mistakes. Nothing is perfect. And sometimes perfectionism can limit you and stop you from actually creating anything at all. And this is your sketchbook, so you're just playing with ideas. So I'm liking this. I think this is coming on. This is quite exciting. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to just shade in again, just using my crayon, some of these negative spaces. So in the previous one, or the one a moment ago, I coloured in or shaded in the actual shapes. This one, I'm shading in the negative space. Can you see what's happening here? I'm actually really liking the texture of this crayon. Ah, the unexpected. It's always good. That's so you want to try out an idea really quickly, then you don't want to be using your expensive equipment, do you? Or if you're just starting out and you don't have anything really, you just don't even know if you're going to enjoy it or not, don't go out and spend money on something that's expensive. Try out sort of cheaper options first. If you want to play with watercolour paints and acrylic, then just use just sort of some student brands, children's ones to start with. Paper, you don't need really good quality paper. Wallpaper lining paper is brilliant. So I am liking this. Just filling that bit there. So this is, again, it's coming on. There are some interesting things happening. So on this one, I took my shape, I flipped it over. It's this one here. I flipped it over, drew around it, and then drew around some of the others. Just used my waxed crayon to do the background. And now I'm just going to use a bit of poster paint. This is the Ready Mix poster paint, and I'm just going to put in some colour very quickly, just to see whether I like this idea and whether this is going to be something worth developing, because I'm liking the pattern of this one. Again, I'm just doing this very, very quickly, and this is the joy of using something like poster paint, because you don't have to worry about anything really. Let's just pop that in there. As you can see that straight away, just adding this red creates a completely different dynamic. You could try different colours. You could put mark making on, and I might do a little bit of mark making as well. I might look back through my sketchbook and see if there are some other ideas that I could incorporate into this design that I could then take further. So perhaps something that I started and didn't finish for whatever reason. Maybe because I got distracted by something else. But let's just have a little bit of a play with this. So the things in your sketchbook, they very rarely get finished because that's not the point. The point of a sketchbook is for you to try out ideas, to see what works, what you like, practice your techniques. So there's no kind of right or wrong. It's just you seeing what happens, seeing that kind of what if again, really. What if I do that? What if I put that with that, or that idea with that, or that shape, or if I used that technique, what would happen? And when I do a workshop or a class, I take my sketchbooks with me because I think it's encouraging for people to see that my sketchbooks have a heck of a lot of mess in them, really. Lots of mess, lots of playing, lots of trying out ideas, things that worked well, things that didn't work well. And then I can sort of go on and show how I developed an idea further into a finished piece, for example. And I like to be able to do that. So I'm just going to pop that in like that. And I think I'm going to introduce another colour or another tone. Yeah, I think I'm going to do some tone. So while I was thinking about that, I thought I would do a tint as well. So a tone is when you're adding black to your colour. A tint is when you're adding white. So let's do a little bit of the white first. So I'm keeping the same red, but just adding the white to create the tint of pink. I always think it's interesting with the names of colours, and it's one of the little games I play with my students, is I get them to see if they can tell me the names of tints. So I'm going to play that with you. So if you can think of the names of tints, and I've just given you one already. So remember, a tint is when you mix a colour with white. And the thing is, there's not that many names for tints. It's quite an interesting thing. Well, it's interesting to me. You might think it's very dull. Yeah, so pop it in the comment if you can just name me some tints. Okay. That. That. There, can you see how this is sort of, the idea is coming along. Still very messy, and that's fine. Let's put that one in there. And then just sort of start playing with the paint, really. Create different sorts of textures with this paint, which I quite like. I do like it, actually. Right, I'm going to introduce this tiny bit of black with a bit of red to create a tone here. And I'm just going to do some mark making in some of these shapes. I might take it a bit further. It's a bit grungy looking at the minute, isn't it? It's sort of urban. But I quite like it. Keeping the palette very minimal just kind of brings a cohesion to your work, which can work really well. But equally, you might decide that you will paint each individual shape a different colour completely, every colour of the rainbow. And that could be fun as well. Try it out, see what you think. Let's bring that like this, just sort of playing with creating different marks with my brush. rolling it and just seeing where we go with these ideas. I'm going to leave that to dry, and I might do some more on top of it a bit later. So I've come back to this one while I'm leaving the other one to dry. And then I had an idea with this. I thought I would use the ideas of the perspective. So I did a tutorial on 1 and 2 point perspective that you might like to have a look at. And I'm going to use that idea here. So I'm going to put in my vanishing point over here, actually. And then what I'm going to do is to just put in some lines very, very lightly. Just sort of see where we go, and turn this into something a little bit surreal. So if you haven't checked out the 1 and 2 point perspective tutorials, you might like to have a look at that, because you can do all sorts of really interesting things using 1 and 2 point perspective. I will do a tutorial on 3 point perspective. A couple of people have asked me about that. A little bit more complicated, but very, very effective. Okay, I'm just sort of putting in some of these lines. You'll see what I do with them in a moment. And there's usually one or two that I miss out. I do like playing with this idea of perspective, because you get this lovely idea of depth, and suddenly it kind of turns into a bit of a surreal kind of landscape, which I just think is interesting. Let's just pop that one there. Ooh. So these lines are called the orthogonals, going into the vanishing point there. Oh no, I knew I'd miss one out. I've probably missed several out, actually. And we can just have a bit of fun with it, really. It might not work, but it might look quite good. Right, I'm going to join all of these up, work it out, and then I'll show you what it looks like. So I've put in some of my lines. I've started to create these kind of cuboid type designs. You can see there, I'm just using a black felt tip pen here. Nothing fancy. So I'm quite liking this idea of the different shapes floating around. It's quite fun. And I might develop this idea a little bit further and perhaps turn it into some kind of surreal cityscape, something like that. So I think that would be fun. I like that. Can you see how that's coming together? So all from those original shapes. Let's do that there, like that. I think that's sort of coming along. I quite like it, and I quite like this idea of this alien thing floating about. It's quite fun, and I could do something similar with this, or I could completely change it. Let's try doing something completely different. Let's stick a circle in it somewhere. Just gonna pop a circle. Please don't be afraid to just try something, because yeah, it might turn out just not to be very good, but you never know, do you? You have to kind of give it give it a go. Let's just put in a few circles, and then I'm getting some interesting shapes here, particularly that one and this one. So for example, if I quite like this, how might this translate? Let's have a look. If I got that there, take that round like that. I'm not taking a huge amount of care here. Because I just want to see what it might look like. And I'm quite liking that. Some lines across it like that. That could work. That could be quite fun. What about this bit in the middle? Let's have a look at that. Got this part of the stencil, then part of that circle. Is there something else I could do with this? I'd put some lines in it to see what that might look like. Or I think, oh no, that's just a bit of a mess. But yeah, we try things out. And there'll be some things in your sketchbook that you absolutely love and you think, yep, I'm going to take that a little bit further and see where that goes. I'm quite liking these within the circle shape, combining different lines, different shapes, perhaps combining something that I've done before. Pop that one in like that. Just seeing what happens. See it, the joy of playing. There we go. What happens if I put some lines across here? We'll just start breaking up the space. So you can see two very different ideas from the same idea initially. And let's go back to this one and have a think about what else we could do with this. And then of course I've still got this one. So a couple more ideas before we come to the end. So I've come back to my neon shape, and then I had an idea. I trimmed up all of the edges, and then I thought I would cut them again and see what I get. And I really like this idea, and I'm going to take this and play with it. So I was thinking that I could do some quite interesting things with this one. So perhaps I'll do that in another tutorial, because I think I'm going to come back to that one. Let's just pop those there for the moment. And I'm thinking, right, what am I going to do with this? How can I play with this for a little bit longer? And so I thought I would bring in a bit of yellow, just to kind of, again, just with the crayon, just seeing what happens if I kind of break up some of these like this, and just add a little bit of yellow. So I've got that, and then I've got my frames here that I like to use to just sort of identify some interesting compositions like I did in the last tutorial. I use these to create my squares because it's quick, but see there's some of these I'm liking, so I could take a couple of these and perhaps work with that idea. Here we are. I would add some white, just some white marks to this. Again, it might not work, but it might just sort of add something else, something that can then take me in a different direction. And this is where you've got to be brave. Because you never know. You never know if something is going to work. And I quite like scribbly lines. I use them a lot on my canvases and my paintings. I think you can get some very interesting effects when you break up the space with this sort of texture. Texture is another formal element in art, and I will be doing a couple of tutorials on texture later on. I quite like that. I quite like the kind of grunginess about it. It's quite fun. And this way I could do something completely different here. I'll just put kind of dots on these spaces and see what that might look like. Well, I hope you're getting lots of ideas of things that you could do, things that you could explore, try out something new. Let me know how you get on. And if you want to join the Facebook group, you could post your creations. It's very, very friendly, supportive space. Really lovely. So, I'm quite liking that. I think that's quite. But this is just an acrylic white pen, actually. So we have our little dots and kind of space alien type thing, our bit of a grungy mess here. We have our neon that I'm going to do something with a bit later, because that was quite exciting. And then this one with a little bits of yellow, and I might do something else with that. I really hope that you enjoyed that tutorial. I always find something new when I'm playing with an idea, especially in my sketchbook, and I will refer back to some of those pieces and develop them a little bit further. If you want to learn more and watch some more of my tutorials, you might want to look at this one or this one. I'll see you next time. Take care. Bye bye.